Ireland, a nice cold place where people can always find the freshest milk. Cows have been of great importance to the people of Ireland since even before St. Patrick's time. The land, as pictured here, is great for the pastoralist lifestyle that most early Irish people have learned to become accustomed to. They let their cows roam and then milk them to create all kinds of dairy products to feed the family and the rest of the neighborhood. Cows were not only a great source of sustenance for the immediate family, but they were also a socioeconomic status symbol. The more cows you had, the more powerful and influential you were to the tribe you belonged to. Cattle were used as currency for many years up until the 13th century. Cattle were so important to the Irish that if it were to suddenly die out, the entire infrastructure of early Irish economy would fall.
Because milk was the source of wealth and well-being in early Irish society, many magical properties were thought to have gone along with it. Cows stand at a kind of functional junction between this life and the other world realms. Therefore, there are lots of stories about divine cows and goddesses of cattle, for example Boin. She is the goddess of the river Boyne. Her initial name Bu Winna would have referred to a goddess in bovine shape, and would have meant literally illuminated cow. The Celtic word wind could mean anything, from the color white to brightness and wisdom. Thus Boin would have originally been the wisdom-giving cow.
Another mystical cow figure is Glasgow. The stories told of her in different forms all over Ireland describe how she filled every pail placed underneath her with milk. However, in most stories, a woman claimed that she had a vessel which glass could not fill. She brought a sieve and began to milk the cow. Glass yielded a continuous stream of milk enough to fill a lake, but it all ran through the sieve. Eventually, the cow became exhausted by the effort and died. Another famous figure in relation to milk is St. Bridget. St. Bridget is the patron saint of dairymaids, cattle, midwives, Irish nuns, and newborn babies. She is often depicted with a white cloud by her side to emphasize her purity. February 1st marks the festival of Bridget. On the eve of the festival, people would lay items out such as oats, seeds, milk, salt, pieces of cloth, and hay for her to bless as she walks by each house. As St. Bridget walks among the houses, she blesses the families within them and their cattle so that they have bountiful milk production in the upcoming months.
Because milk was such a cherished resource in Ireland, people took many precautionary measures to protect their property. They protected against evil-minded neighbors who wanted to steal one's milk or butter by magical means. This was especially the case on May Eve and the morning of May Day. The usual motive was said to be gain, as it was a form of stealing without trouble or much risk of discovery. The churn was deemed to be especially vulnerable. Therefore, a live cinder was placed under the churn, as well as a horseshoe. Nails of iron would also be driven into the timber of the churn to protect it. The tongues were kept in the fire during the period of churning. Water and fire ashes were not allowed out of the house until the operation had ended. If anybody came to a house while churning was in progress and tried to take live fire out of the house, he was prevented from doing so. He was then forced to take a hand at the churning before leaving. All of this was to be done in order to prevent the stealing of someone's butter. Nevertheless, some of the magic of milk has faded in the last decades with the introduction of pasteurization. Milk has lost its enormous importance for survival, and therefore its presence in society and its customs have disappeared. Today there are creameries all over Ireland, and most people no longer make their own butter. If they want milk, cream or butter, they just go to the supermarket. This definitively deprived milk of its mystique. At first, we did some research for the video. We were surprised how many stories, superstitions and customs there were in regard to milk in Ireland, so we had to decide which of them we want to include in our video.
So the economic importance of cows was very present in all the research we did. The papers that we were given to look into definitely had very heavy importance on cows and milk and how their products were very important to early Irish people.
We took a look at duchas. There are many stories about cows. We read some of them and went through them and tried to get the sense out of them, not to tell each of these stories, but to give you an impression what they were about.
Many of the pictures of the cows in this presentation were taken by us because fortunately we were able to go and take trips separately, but we ended up taking pictures of cows because cows are pretty cool, that we found out at the end of this project.